Hey guys, something strange is buried deep inside the most famous monument on Earth. In 2017, a team of international scientists used cutting-edge technology, firing cosmic particles, MUONS, into the Great Pyramid of Giza. What they discovered wasn't just another corridor or chamber. It was a massive hidden void, a cavity so large that it rivals the size of the pyramid's Grand Gallery. Yet here's the mystery: 7 years have passed since this discovery, and no one, not archaeologists, not historians, not even the Egyptian authorities, has gone inside. Where are you sitting right now to watch this video? On your couch, at your kitchen table, or maybe in bed with your tablet? Wherever you are, imagine for a moment what it would feel like to stand at the base of that enormous pyramid, knowing that just above you, hidden behind 4,500-year-old limestone blocks, sits a secret chamber no living human has entered in recorded history. Tonight, we're going beyond the textbook history of the Great Pyramid. We'll dive into the scans, the secrets, and the strange silence surrounding this ancient stone giant. We'll ask why the void was left untouched and what ancient builders might have hidden inside. Is this a tomb, a time capsule, or a message from the past? Stay with me, because the deeper we go, the stranger the story gets. For thousands of years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has loomed over the Egyptian desert like a silent sentinel, watching the rise and fall of empires, the fading of civilizations, and the relentless passage of time. Built around 4,500 years ago, during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops, this massive structure was designed not just as a tomb, but as a statement of eternal power. Khufu's pyramid is the largest of the 3 pyramids at Giza, and, to this day, remains one of the most astonishing feats of engineering humanity has ever achieved. Let's start with the basics, because even the unknown facts about the Great Pyramid are enough to make the mind reel. Originally standing at 146.6 meters tall, though now slightly shorter due to the loss of its outer casing stones, it was once the tallest man-made structure on Earth for over 3,800 years. The pyramid is composed of an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing between 2 and 15 tons. Together, these stones form a structure so massive and so precisely aligned that modern engineers still debate how it was built. Consider this: the base of the Great Pyramid covers 13 acres. Each side of its square base measures about 230.4 meters, 756 feet, and the difference in length between the sides is less than 5 centimeters, a precision that challenges even modern construction standards. The pyramid is aligned almost perfectly to true north, with an error of just 3/60th of a degree. Some scholars suggest this accuracy was beyond the capabilities of ancient Egyptians, sparking theories of lost knowledge, forgotten technology, or even external help. But beyond its sheer size and precision, the Great Pyramid's design contains mysteries that have puzzled researchers for centuries. The interior layout is unusual. Unlike most other Egyptian pyramids, which follow a simpler burial chamber format, the Great Pyramid contains multiple mysterious features. There's the King's Chamber, constructed from massive granite blocks transported from Aswan, hundreds of miles away. Above this chamber are 5 relieving chambers stacked one on top of the other, supposedly to prevent the ceiling from collapsing. But their exact purpose is still debated. Then there's the Grand Gallery, a 47-meter-long, steeply sloped corridor with a vaulted ceiling. Its walls are lined with precisely cut limestone slabs that fit together so tightly, not even a piece of paper can slip between them. Why such a grandiose design for a passageway that leads to a tomb? Some argue that the Grand Gallery served a ceremonial function or held complex counterweight systems during construction, but no consensus has been reached. And what about the so-called air shafts? These narrow tunnels extend from the king's and queen's chambers at precise angles, pointing not just outward but toward specific stars. The northern shaft of the king's chamber, for example, aligns almost exactly with the former pole star, Thuban, as it appeared around 2500 BCE. The southern shaft points to Orion's belt, often associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Were these ventilation passages, or do they represent some kind of cosmic alignment, a celestial key that modern humans have yet to fully understand? Even the casing stones that once covered the pyramid were special. Made of highly polished Tura limestone, these outer layers reflected sunlight so brilliantly that ancient texts described the Great Pyramid as shining like a gem or a second sun on the horizon. Today, those casing stones are mostly gone, stripped away over centuries for other building projects, but a few remnants remain near the base, reminding us of the pyramid's original grandeur. Despite the centuries of study, excavation, and exploration, the Great Pyramid has not given up all its secrets. For millennia, travelers, archaeologists, and adventurers assumed they had mapped out every corner of this ancient monument. Scholars believed they understood its internal passages, its chambers, and the basic purpose of its construction, a tomb for a king, a monument to eternity. Yet some things never added up. No definitive evidence of Khufu's burial, no mummy, no sarcophagus with remains, has ever been found inside the Great Pyramid. Unlike the tombs in the Valley of the Kings, which are filled with hieroglyphs and elaborate carvings, the interior of the pyramid is stark and bare. There are no inscriptions, no artwork, no declarations of royal power etched into the walls. Why would Khufu's tomb, of all places, be so silent? Ancient texts offer clues but not certainty. The Greek historian Herodotus visited Egypt around 450 BCE and reported stories told to him by priests, including details about the pyramid's construction. He claimed that it took 20 years to complete, with labor provided by thousands of workers. However, Herodotus also included tales of hidden chambers, secret knowledge, and concealed passages, stories often dismissed by modern Egyptologists, but not forgotten by those who believe there's more to the pyramid than meets the eye. Fast forward to the present, and the Great Pyramid still commands our attention. It is the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world that remains standing. Its massive stones and mathematical precision continue to baffle experts, raising questions about the limits of ancient technology, the potential for lost knowledge, and the purpose behind such an extraordinary monument. For centuries, we thought we knew every stone of the Great Pyramid. We believed it had been fully explored, its secrets catalogued, and its mysteries solved. But then came a discovery that shattered that assumption, a discovery made not with shovels or pickaxes, but with particles from the cosmos. What if I told you that in 2017, scientists found something inside the Great Pyramid that no one expected? A massive hidden void, undetected for thousands of years, suddenly revealed by technology that even the ancient builders could not have imagined. As we move into the next chapter, we'll explore this incredible find. What is the mysterious cavity hidden deep within the Great Pyramid? Why was it never found before, and what could it possibly contain? Could it be an untouched tomb, a chamber of ancient knowledge, or something beyond our comprehension? Let's continue, because the story of the Great Pyramid is far from over, and the deeper we go, the stranger it gets. For centuries, explorers, archaeologists, and historians believed they had uncovered nearly every secret of the Great Pyramid. Sure, some mysteries remained, like how it was built with such precision, but the general consensus was that its internal chambers and passages had been mapped out, studied, and explained. That illusion of certainty crumbled in 2017, when a team of scientists used cutting-edge technology to peer inside the pyramid in a way no human ever had before. The breakthrough came from a method called muon tomography. Now, that might sound complicated, but the principle is surprisingly simple. Muons are cosmic particles, naturally produced when high-energy rays from space collide with atoms in Earth's upper atmosphere. These tiny particles rain down on us constantly, passing through solid objects, like mountains, buildings, or even pyramids, because they move at near light speeds and interact only weakly with matter. However, when muons hit dense material, like solid stone, more of them get absorbed or deflected. When they pass through empty spaces, like air or cavities, more of them continue in straight lines. Scientists can place muon detectors in strategic locations, like inside the pyramid itself or just outside its base. By measuring how many muons pass through certain areas versus how many get blocked, researchers can build a kind of 3D image of the structure's interior, similar to taking an X-ray of the human body, but using nature's own cosmic particles instead of medical devices. It's completely non-invasive, meaning no drilling, no destruction, and no risk to the monument. This method isn't science fiction. Muon tomography has been used to look inside volcanoes, detect underground tunnels, and even search for hidden chambers in ancient ruins. So, in 2015, a team of researchers from Egypt, France, and Japan launched an ambitious initiative called the Scan Pyramids Project. Their goal was simple: to use muon scanning to confirm the known internal structure of the Great Pyramid and see if any unknown features remained. At first, the expectations were modest. Most of the team assumed the scans would merely validate what archaeologists already believed, that the pyramid's interior consisted of the king's chamber, the queen's chamber, the grand gallery, and a few small shafts. But science sometimes has a way of surprising even the experts. In 2017, after months of data collection and analysis, the results came back, and they were astonishing. The scans revealed a previously unknown void, hidden deep inside the Great Pyramid. This was not a minor cavity, crack, or accidental gap in the stonework. It was a massive, clearly defined space, roughly 30 meters long, that's about 100 feet. For comparison, that's about the length of a Boeing 737 airplane fuselage. The void is positioned directly above the Grand Gallery, running parallel to it, but it has no known access points from the outside or from any of the existing chambers. This discovery sent shockwaves through both the scientific and archaeological communities. The researchers announced their findings in the journal Nature, one of the world's most prestigious scientific publications. Almost overnight, headlines around the globe reported the breakthrough: new chamber found in Great Pyramid. Hidden void detected in Giza's ancient wonder. Some called it the biggest discovery in Egyptology since the tomb of Tutankhamun. But excitement quickly turned into confusion and, for some, skepticism. What exactly is this massive void? Why is it there? And why has no one investigated it further? The scientists behind the Scan Pyramids project were careful in their wording. They emphasized that they could not yet say what the void is or what purpose it serves. The muon data showed only the outline of the empty space, not whether it contains artifacts, passages, or walls lined with inscriptions. It could be a grand, undiscovered chamber, or it could be an architectural feature designed to relieve stress on the Grand Gallery below, though its size and shape make that theory unlikely. Critically, the void doesn't match any known construction technique used in other pyramids. Most relieving spaces in Egyptian architecture are small and strategic, not vast, empty halls stretching for 100 feet. This is something else entirely. So what happened next? Strangely, almost nothing. Despite the initial media frenzy, official exploration of the void stalled. There were no follow-up excavations, no robotic probes sent inside, and no small holes drilled to insert cameras. Egyptian authorities expressed interest but did not approve any further action. Some speculated that politics, preservation concerns, or religious sensitivities played a role in the silence. After all, Egypt's monuments are not just historical treasures, they're national symbols, tourism magnets, and closely guarded cultural icons. Disturbing the Great Pyramid, even with the promise of discovery, is not something taken lightly. Others whisper about deeper reasons for the inaction. Could the void contain something too controversial for public knowledge? Some theorists suggest it might hold lost texts, unknown technology, or even proof of a forgotten chapter in human history, perhaps something that challenges the accepted narrative of civilization's origins. If that sounds far-fetched, remember, until 2017, the scientific world believed the pyramid was fully mapped. The fact that a 100-foot-long chamber could remain hidden for thousands of years reminds us that sometimes, the impossible is just something we haven't discovered yet. Meanwhile, the MUONS scans have been independently verified. 3 separate teams used different detection methods, scintillator hodoscopes, nuclear emulsion films, and gas detectors, to confirm the same result: the void is real. Yet as of today, it remains unexplored. We know it's there, but we don't know what it contains, or if we'll ever be allowed to find out. This raises uncomfortable questions. Why hasn't the world demanded more answers? Why have the discoveries seemingly been shelved or ignored? Is it fear of damaging the pyramid, or is there something deeper at play? As we move into the next chapter, we'll explore the theories, both mainstream and fringe, about what might lie inside the mysterious void. Could it be an undiscovered burial chamber, a library of lost knowledge, or something so unimaginable that the truth has been kept hidden for our own protection? Stay with me, because this story is only getting stranger. When the Scan Pyramids project team announced their discovery of a massive, unknown void inside the Great Pyramid in 2017, the world expected the next logical step: exploration. After all, if modern science had just found a hidden space inside the most famous monument on Earth, wouldn't it make sense to send in a probe, a drone, or at least a fiber optic camera to see what's inside? But here we are, years later, and no such expedition has taken place. The question is simple: why haven't we gone in? To understand this mystery, we first need to look at the role of Egypt's authorities in protecting and controlling their ancient heritage. The Supreme Council of Antiquities, SCA, along with the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, oversees all archaeological activities in Egypt. This is not just about science, it's about national pride, cultural legacy, and political control. For Egypt, the Great Pyramid is more than just an ancient tomb. It's a symbol of identity. A monument that connects the modern nation to a grand, ancient past. It attracts millions of tourists each year, feeding the economy and bolstering national prestige. So when it comes to altering or entering the Great Pyramid, especially in a way that might damage it, Egyptian authorities proceed with extreme caution. And rightfully so. The structure is over 4,500 years old. Even small interventions could cause unforeseen damage. The pyramid stones have shifted over millennia. Cutting into a chamber wall or drilling through ancient limestone might trigger collapses, even if done carefully. But that's just part of the story. Many archaeologists and engineers argue that modern technology could allow us to safely explore the void. We're no longer in the era of 19th-century tomb raiders or reckless digs. Today's tools include fiber optic cameras that can snake through tiny boreholes without harming the stone, or robotic crawlers small enough to pass through existing ventilation shafts. Ground-penetrating radar and further muon scans could also refine our understanding of the void's dimensions before any physical intrusion takes place. Yet despite the available technology, the project to explore the void has stalled. The Scan Pyramids team has made few public statements since the initial announcement. There have been no reports of approved follow-up missions. For a discovery of this magnitude, the silence has been, at best, curious, and at worst, suspicious. Some insiders suggest that politics play a major role. In Egypt, the politics of archaeology are often as complex as the discoveries themselves. High-profile digs can create international headlines, and with them come questions of ownership, access, and control. Who gets to make the discovery? Who gets the media attention? Who benefits financially from tourism or documentaries? These factors can slow down or block archaeological work. There's also the matter of academic reputations. If a discovery challenges the mainstream timeline of history, say, by revealing unknown chambers, hidden artifacts, or evidence of forgotten technologies, it can disrupt careers and rewrite textbooks. For scholars who have spent decades defending a particular view of Egyptian history, the idea of confronting a mystery they cannot explain is uncomfortable. Then there's the possibility, whispered among some researchers, that Egypt's authorities may already know more than they've revealed. Is it possible that the void has been secretly investigated in ways the public doesn't know about? Some fringe theorists suggest so. They point to the long history of restricted access to sensitive sites in Egypt, like the Osiris shaft beneath the Giza plateau or the alleged Hall of Records said to be buried beneath the Sphinx. Could the same pattern be repeating here? Let's consider the eerie silence from the Scan Pyramids project itself. After their initial announcement, the team published their findings in the journal Nature, held press conferences, and spoke with media outlets worldwide. But soon after, the update stopped. No new data, no public proposals for entering the void, no progress reports. It's almost as if the discovery was made, and then quietly shelved. Some believe this was due to pressure from Egyptian authorities. The Ministry of Antiquities, protective of its role as gatekeeper to the nation's ancient heritage, may have requested that the team stand down. Officially, the reason might be preservation concerns. Unofficially, it could be a desire to control the narrative. After all, what if the void contains something that would disrupt the official story of Egypt's past? There are historical precedents for such caution. In the 1990s, a robot called UPUOut-2 was sent into the Queen's chamber shafts of the Great Pyramid. It found a mysterious limestone door with copper handles. When another robot, Jetty, was sent years later to peer beyond the door, it discovered yet another stone block, still blocking the passage to this day. No further official attempts have been made to open it, despite enormous public interest. Could the same fate await the Scan Pyramids discovery? A mystery declared, then left unresolved. Some conspiracy theorists believe that certain powers, whether governmental, religious, or academic, might actually prefer the void to remain unexplored. Why? Because its contents could challenge fundamental beliefs. If, for instance, the void contains scrolls, technologies, or artifacts from an unknown civilization, it could force us to rethink everything from the origins of writing to the builders of the pyramids. Even if the void is empty, the fact that it exists raises questions about our incomplete understanding of the pyramid's purpose and construction. There's also a more speculative possibility: what if the void was never meant to be entered? Some ancient structures contain sacred voids, spaces designed to hold symbolic meaning rather than physical objects. Could the Great Pyramid's hidden chamber be one of these? A kind of cosmic placeholder, aligned with celestial patterns or metaphysical beliefs? Or is it hiding something tangible, something buried for a reason? Until someone actually goes in, we won't know. And that brings us back to the original question, why haven't we? Is it fear of damaging a global treasure? Is it political bureaucracy? Is it secrecy? Or is it a calculated decision to let the mystery remain, a riddle wrapped in stone, keeping its secrets for another generation? As we move into the next chapter, we'll dive into the theories about what might lie inside the void, from forgotten tombs to lost knowledge, and perhaps, something even stranger. Ever since the 2017 discovery of the massive hidden void inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, one question has overshadowed all others: what is inside? It's not just idle curiosity. The answer could rewrite history, challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations, and unlock secrets that have been buried, perhaps intentionally, for over 4 millennia. So, what could the mysterious void above the Grand Gallery contain? Let's explore the most prominent theories. From mainstream archaeology to fringe speculation. Theory 1, a hidden burial chamber. The most conservative, and perhaps most logical, theory is that the void could be a burial chamber. For centuries, Egyptologists have puzzled over the final resting place of Pharaoh Khufu, the pyramid's builder. While the king's chamber in the pyramid contains a large stone sarcophagus, no body or grave goods were ever found inside it. Some scholars argue that this is because tomb robbers got there first. Others suggest the pyramid was never a tomb at all. But what if the true burial chamber remains hidden? The location of the void is intriguing. It sits directly above the Grand Gallery, a monumental corridor that leads to the King's Chamber. Its size is enormous, over 30 meters long, roughly the size of a small airplane hangar. The void's position could have served both symbolic and practical purposes, aligning with celestial markers while physically protecting the contents within. In ancient Egyptian belief, death wasn't just the end of life, it was a journey to the afterlife, often mapped onto the stars. Could the void be part of that sacred architecture? If the hidden chamber contains Khufu's actual remains, it would solve one of Egyptology's greatest mysteries. But it would also raise a new question: why was the real tomb so carefully concealed while the king's chamber was left relatively accessible? Was this a deliberate decoy, designed to fool tomb robbers for eternity? Theory 2, a vault of ancient scrolls or religious texts. Another possibility is that the void isn't a tomb at all, but a storage chamber for ancient knowledge. Could the Great Pyramid contain a library of scrolls, religious texts, or scientific writings from ancient Egypt's earliest dynasties, or even from before them? Legends speak of the Hall of Records, a mythical repository of ancient wisdom said to be hidden somewhere beneath the Giza Plateau. While most scholars dismiss this idea as a modern invention, some point to ancient Egyptian texts that reference secret knowledge kept hidden from the uninitiated. The void could, in theory, house sacred papyri, technological schematics, or historical records lost to time. Consider this: the Great Pyramid was constructed with materials and methods far beyond what conventional explanations can fully account for. Could part of that knowledge have been recorded and then hidden away, perhaps in anticipation of future cataclysms or the eventual rise and fall of civilizations? If the void holds ancient texts, it could change everything we know about human history. It might reveal lost scientific principles, unknown religious rituals, or even accounts of contact with other civilizations, terrestrial or otherwise. Theory 3, an architectural pressure relief chamber. Of course, not every theory points to a hidden treasure trove. Some engineers and Egyptologists believe the void may be a structural feature, nothing more than a pressure relief space designed to prevent the Grand Gallery and King's Chamber from collapsing under the pyramid's immense weight. Ancient Egyptian builders were master engineers, and they used relieving chambers in other structures. In fact, Above the king's chamber are 5 smaller cavities built to redistribute weight. Could the newly discovered void serve a similar purpose on a grander scale? If so, that would still be fascinating, but perhaps less mysterious. It would showcase the extraordinary sophistication of Old Kingdom architecture, yet fall within the bounds of known engineering practices. However, skeptics of this theory point out that the void is unusually large for a mere stress relief cavity. Most ancient architects would not build a chamber 30 meters long unless it had a specific function beyond structural stability. The clean, defined shape of the void, as revealed by muon tomography, suggests intentional design, not random construction gaps. Theory 4, evidence of lost technology or advanced knowledge. This is where the conversation turns from cautious archaeology to bold speculation. Could the void contain evidence of ancient technology? Some fringe theorists believe the Great Pyramid wasn't just a tomb or monument, it was a machine. They argue that the pyramid's alignment with magnetic fields, water channels beneath the plateau, and geometric precision hint at forgotten technologies. In this view, the void could house devices or artifacts that modern science has yet to comprehend. Ancient energy generators, acoustic chambers for healing or consciousness expansion, zero-point energy resonators. These ideas sound like science fiction, but they persist because mainstream explanations still leave gaps. Nikola Tesla himself was fascinated by the pyramid. He once suggested that its design might encode principles of wireless energy transmission. Could the void play a role in some ancient system of energy storage or manipulation? The alignment with Orion's belt. Adding to the mystery is the possibility that the void's position aligns with the stars, specifically Orion's belt. The ancient Egyptians associated Orion with Osiris, god of the afterlife and resurrection. The 3 main pyramids at Giza are famously aligned with the stars of Orion's belt, and some researchers suggest the internal architecture also reflects this celestial pattern. Could the void's location have symbolic significance? Was it placed to mirror a particular star at a certain time of year? If so, the contents of the chamber, whether physical or metaphysical, could relate to ancient beliefs about life, death, and rebirth. The truth is, we won't know what's inside the void until someone goes in. It could be Khufu's long-lost tomb. It could be a repository of ancient knowledge. It could be an architectural feature, or it could be something we haven't yet imagined. What we do know is this: the Great Pyramid continues to guard its secrets. After thousands of years, it still holds mysteries we've only just begun to uncover. In the next chapter, we'll explore the controversies and debates surrounding the void, why some want it explored immediately, while others say it's best left untouched. And we'll ask, what happens if opening the void changes history forever? For centuries, the Great Pyramid of Giza has whispered strange echoes from its stone corridors, clues scattered like ancient breadcrumbs, pointing toward mysteries far deeper than mainstream history dares to admit. As we stand on the edge of scientific discovery, with muon scans revealing hidden chambers, it's worth asking, have the ancients already told us about the pyramid's secrets? Did they leave warnings, or instructions, embedded in myth, architecture, and forgotten texts? Ancient legends of sealed rooms that must not be opened. Throughout ancient history, tales of forbidden chambers recur like a persistent motif. Many of these legends involve rooms sealed by high priests or pharaohs, with inscriptions warning of dire consequences for those who disturb them. The Great Pyramid is no exception. Some old accounts from the Arab historians of the Middle Ages mention mysterious writings allegedly found on the pyramid walls, scripts that spoke of chambers not to be opened until the end of days. One such tale involves Al-Ma'mun, the Abbasid caliph who is said to have forcibly tunneled into the Great Pyramid. around 820 CE. According to chroniclers, his men created the Robber's Tunnel, bypassing the sealed entrance that had eluded previous explorers. What did they find? Some accounts say they stumbled upon strange mechanical devices, sealed doors, and ominous inscriptions, messages warning of consequences for disturbing the pyramids. Slumber. Modern historians often dismiss these stories as folklore. But when combined with recent discoveries like the hidden void, they take on new meaning. Were these legends simply metaphors, or were they recording real features of the pyramid, features we are only now rediscovering with advanced technology? The strange angled shafts leading from the king's chamber. Inside the king's chamber, there are two enigmatic shafts, about 8 inches square, that angle upward toward the exterior of the pyramid. They are often referred to as air shafts, but that label is misleading. They do not connect directly to the outside air in any meaningful way, nor do they serve a known ventilation purpose. In fact, for centuries, their function baffled explorers and Egyptologists alike. It wasn't until the 20th century that researchers began to map their precise alignments. What they found raised more questions than answers. One shaft points toward the constellation Orion, traditionally associated with Osiris, god of the afterlife. The other aligns with the star Sirius, sacred to the goddess Isis and central to Egyptian cosmology. These celestial alignments suggest the shafts were not functional but symbolic, portals for the pharaoh's soul to travel to the stars. But could they also serve as clues to something physical inside the pyramid? Some theorists speculate that the shafts may mark or point toward hidden chambers, perhaps even the massive void detected in 2017. Could these architectural features double as star maps and as markers for secret locations within the pyramid's core? The air shaft that points to Sirius, symbolic or something more? The shaft that aligns with Sirius is particularly intriguing. In ancient Egypt, the heliacal rising of Sirius marked the beginning of the Nile flood, an event critical to Egyptian survival. The star was associated with rebirth, resurrection, and divine knowledge. Isis, the goddess linked to Sirius, was said to guard sacred mysteries, secrets of life, death, and the cosmos. Was the Sirius shaft merely a symbolic connection to these religious ideas, or did it serve another purpose? Some researchers have proposed that the shaft could be part of a larger system, a sort of celestial clock encoded into the pyramid's design. Others suggest that it might have been used in rituals, perhaps channeling sound or energy in ways we don't yet understand. In the 1990s, robotic exploration sent cameras up the shafts and found small doors or blocks at the ends, seemingly designed to prevent entry. Behind one of these doors, a tiny copper handle was discovered, resembling an ancient locking mechanism. What lies beyond these doors remains unknown. Are they simply symbolic terminations, or are they literal locks guarding something significant? The pyramid texts and the pharaoh's soul journey. Inside the oldest pyramids, not Khufu's, but those of his successors, the pyramid texts are carved on walls. These inscriptions, dating back to around 2400 BCE, are the earliest known religious texts in the world. They describe the pharaoh's journey after death, including his transformation into a star and ascent into the heavens. One passage mentions the king's soul climbing the ladder of the sky to join the imperishable stars. Other texts reference the doors of the sky and hidden rooms where the knowledge of the gods is kept. Could the Great Pyramid encode this metaphysical journey into its architecture? The Grand Gallery, with its steep incline, has been interpreted by some as a symbolic ladder to the stars. The strange shafts pointing to Orion and Sirius might mark literal or spiritual escape routes for the pharaoh's soul. Perhaps the newly discovered void is part of this cosmic journey, a resting place, or gateway, prepared for Khufu's eternal spirit. Forgotten accounts of 19th-century explorers. When Western archaeologists first entered the Great Pyramid in the 19th century, they recorded strange experiences. Some reported hearing inexplicable sounds, whispers, hums, and what one explorer described as a low pulsing tone in the king's chamber. These accounts, found in journals and travelogues of the era, have mostly been dismissed as imagination or the result of echoes in the stone. But could there be more to it? Modern acoustic studies have shown that the pyramid's internal chambers amplify specific frequencies. Some have suggested that the chambers are tuned to Earth's natural resonance, the Schumann frequency, which hovers around 7.83 Hz. Others claim the structure could have been used for sound-based rituals or consciousness-altering ceremonies. Could the mysterious sounds reported by early explorers be artifacts of these acoustic properties? Or were they experiencing something stranger, perhaps even interacting with the pyramid in ways we have yet to understand? Taken together, these clues, ancient legends, unexplained shafts, celestial alignments, religious texts, and odd acoustic phenomena, paint a picture of the Great Pyramid as far more than just a tomb or monument. It seems to function as a symbolic machine, a stellar map, and perhaps even a physical gateway between worlds. As we continue to explore the pyramid with modern technology, it's crucial to remember the echoes of the past. The ancients left messages, whether in stone, in myth, or in geometry, that still resonate today. But are we listening? In the next chapter, we'll dive into the global implications of uncovering the void. What happens to human history if For centuries, humanity has approached the Great Pyramid of Giza as a symbol of ancient achievement, mathematical precision, monumental scale, and architectural mystery. But what if the latest discovery, the hidden void detected in 2017, signals something far more profound? A question arises that chills both archaeologists and ordinary people alike. Have we stumbled upon something we're not ready to confront? Parallels with other hidden chamber discoveries. History reminds us that hidden chambers often reveal more than just artifacts, they unlock entire chapters of human understanding, sometimes rewriting history overnight. Take the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Before that moment, Egyptology was a respectable but niche field. Afterward, it became a global obsession. The tomb wasn't just rich with gold, it was rich with cultural significance. The find challenged Victorian ideas of progress and superiority, forcing scholars to admit that ancient civilizations were far more advanced in art, medicine, and ritual than previously believed. Then there's the so-called Tomb of Osiris beneath the Giza Plateau, discovered in the 1990s. This mysterious subterranean complex, cut deep into the bedrock, features massive sarcophagi and water-filled chambers. Mainstream Egyptologists cautiously labeled it a symbolic shrine. But some researchers suggest it might represent the burial site of a pre-dynastic figure or a monument to something even older. Official reports about the site have been sparse, leaving room for speculation. Could the hidden void inside the Great Pyramid be a discovery of equal, or greater, magnitude? And if so, are modern institutions prepared to face its implications? Ancient civilizations and lost knowledge. The more we study ancient structures, the more we realize how little we truly know. Some scholars and theorists propose that early civilizations possessed knowledge, scientific, spiritual, or technological, that has since been lost. The Great Pyramid, with its cosmic alignments, geodetic precision, and internal mysteries, stands as the most tantalizing evidence of this possibility. Is it possible that the void was created as a message or a vault for future generations? Could it contain records of an earlier epoch of human history, one that predates the pharaohs, perhaps even predates the Ice Age? Ancient texts from Egypt and Mesopotamia often speak of cycles, times when knowledge is lost and regained. The so-called Hall of Records theory, popularized by mystics like Edgar Cayce, suggests that somewhere beneath the Sphinx or the pyramids lies a repository of wisdom from a lost civilization, perhaps Atlantis. Could the void be part of this tradition? Was it meant to be discovered now, in an era when our technology is finally advanced enough to detect it, but perhaps not advanced enough to understand it fully? A vault to preserve, or to contain? There's another, more unsettling possibility. What if the void wasn't built to preserve something for humanity's benefit, but to seal something away? Legends across cultures speak of forbidden knowledge, ideas or technologies so dangerous that they were locked away to prevent catastrophe. The Pandora's box motif, the cursed tomb narratives, and the concept of sealed evil in religious lore all share this theme. If the Great Pyramid was designed not just as a tomb but as a machine or a container, what was its function? Some fringe theorists suggest the pyramid was part of a planetary energy system, perhaps even an interstellar beacon. Others claim it houses objects or texts that could disrupt modern civilization, proof of extraterrestrial contact, for instance, or evidence that humanity's origins are not what we've been told. More conservatively, historians worry about the socio-political impact of a find that contradicts established timelines. What happens to religious narratives, national identities, and academic careers if the Great Pyramid's void contains materials that force a historical reset? Who controls the narrative? Whenever a major archaeological discovery occurs, the first question is not just, what is it, but, who gets to tell the story? Archaeology, like any human endeavor, is entangled with politics. Egypt's heritage is a cornerstone of its national pride and tourism economy. The Ministry of Antiquities holds tight control over who excavates, what is studied, and how findings are presented to the public. This protects Egypt's cultural legacy, but it can also lead to suppression or reinterpretation of controversial finds. There's precedent for this. When the Dead Sea Scrolls were first discovered, much of the content was kept from the public for decades due to religious and political sensitivities. Could something similar be happening with the void in the Great Pyramid? Since the Scan Pyramids team announced the discovery in 2017, little follow-up information has been released. This silence has fueled rumors that authorities know more than they're saying. Is the void empty, or has it already been explored in secret? The role of secrecy in archaeology and geopolitics. Secrecy is not new to the world of ancient discovery. Governments and institutions often control access to sensitive sites. Sometimes this is for legitimate reasons, protection from looters, preservation of delicate materials, or national security concerns. But sometimes, secrecy serves to maintain existing narratives and prevent paradigm shifts that could destabilize social order. In the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in secret digs at ancient sites, searching for artifacts that might hold military or psychological advantage. Today, in an age of rapid information exchange, the temptation to withhold or filter data remains strong, especially when a find could affect global belief systems. So we must ask, is the silence surrounding the pyramid's void a reflection of caution, or of control? What happens if we're not ready? Imagine the implications if the void contains a burial chamber that rewrites Egypt's dynastic history, a cache of unknown technology, or evidence of human origins linked to a civilization not found in our textbooks. Would governments release that information to the public? Would academic institutions accept it? Or would it be locked away, quietly studied behind closed doors while the rest of the world remains in the dark? Perhaps the void has remained untouched not just because of structural concerns, but because opening it means confronting ideas humanity isn't emotionally, politically, or spiritually prepared to handle. We stand at a crossroads between ancient mystery and modern science, between discovery and discretion. The hidden void inside the Great Pyramid is not just an architectural enigma, it's a mirror reflecting our own readiness to face the unknown. Are we prepared to learn what lies behind the stones? Or will we choose, once again, to let history remain buried? In the next chapter, we'll explore how new technologies could finally unlock the pyramid's secrets, and whether humanity is brave enough to take that step. Find something inside that challenges everything we think we know. The discovery of the hidden void inside the Great Pyramid of Giza stands as one of the most intriguing archaeological findings of the 21st century. Yet after the initial announcement in 2017, the world has seen little progress in exploring or understanding what lies within. So, what happens next? Will we ever see inside this mysterious cavity? Can modern technology provide answers without damaging one of the most sacred and ancient structures on Earth? And perhaps more importantly, should we? A new era of exploration, technologies on the horizon. In past centuries, archaeological discoveries involved shovels, picks, and the risk of damaging precious sites in the process. But today, technology allows us to see inside ancient structures without disturbing a single stone. One of the most promising tools is nanodrone technology. These micro-sized flying devices can navigate through incredibly small openings, using cameras and sensors to map environments that are otherwise inaccessible. Some experimental models are already capable of entering tight cavities in archaeological sites, transmitting 3D visuals in real time. In the context of the Great Pyramid, if even a tiny borehole could be safely created, perhaps through one of the existing air shafts, a nanodrone could explore the void without destabilizing the monument. Another frontier is ultrasonic tomography. This method sends sound waves through stone to create a detailed internal map, much like a medical ultrasound but on a much larger scale. Ultrasonic imaging can reveal densities, hollows, and even differentiate between solid walls, sand-filled cavities, and open air. The challenge is calibrating the equipment to account for the unique construction materials of the pyramid and its ancient settling over millennia. Combined with advanced AI-driven data analysis, these technologies could help archaeologists reconstruct the interior of the Great Pyramid virtually, long before physically entering the void becomes an option. So why, despite these tools, has there been no next step? The barriers to access, protection or control. The reasons for the delay are complex. On the surface, Egyptian authorities cite preservation concerns. The Great Pyramid is not just an archaeological site, it is a symbol of national pride, a UNESCO World Heritage Monument, and one of the most visited tourist attractions on Earth. Any damage, even unintentional, could be catastrophic, not just to the structure, but to Egypt's cultural and economic heritage. Moreover, there is a long-standing issue in Egyptology of who controls discovery narratives. The Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities, understandably protective of its ancient treasures, may be reluctant to allow foreign-led initiatives to claim credit for such a potentially paradigm-shifting find. It's possible that internal discussions are ongoing about how to proceed, but little of that is made public. There are also rumors, though unconfirmed, that private scans have already been conducted since the 2017 announcement, possibly by governmental agencies or academic bodies working behind closed doors. If true, what have they seen? And why hasn't that information been released? Will we see it in our lifetime? The big question remains, will the void be explored openly within our lifetime? On one hand, the rate of technological advancement suggests the answer is yes. Tools like AI-driven 3D modeling, microrobotics, and non-invasive scanning are becoming more accessible and reliable every year. Public pressure for transparency is also growing, especially as the global audience for ancient mysteries and alternative history explodes on platforms like YouTube and podcasts. On the other hand, history warns us that some discoveries are kept under wraps for decades. Political shifts, economic priorities, and cultural sensitivities can stall exploration indefinitely. Consider the hidden chambers that radar scans suggested might exist behind Tutankhamun's tomb walls, despite initial excitement in 2015. Further study was quietly abandoned, and officials declared no chambers were present, leaving many questions unresolved. Ethical dilemmas: should we open it? Beyond the technical and political issues lies a deeper philosophical question: should we disturb what has remained sealed for 4,500 years? Some scholars argue that the Great Pyramid is not merely a historical monument, it is a sacred structure, possibly a temple as much as a tomb. Opening sealed spaces, especially those deliberately hidden by the original builders, may be seen as violating the intentions of the ancients. In ancient Egyptian belief, the afterlife journey was sacred and protected by architecture, spells, and rituals. Disturbing hidden chambers could, in the eyes of some, disrupt a spiritual balance meant to last for eternity. But others argue that knowledge is humanity's inheritance. We live in an era of scientific inquiry, where understanding our past is critical to shaping our future. If there are historical records, artifacts, or even bodies within the void, should we not learn from them? And then there's the global perspective. The Great Pyramid doesn't just belong to Egypt, it belongs to all of humanity as part of our shared history. Some believe that restricting access to discoveries within it prevents the world from collectively learning its true story. What if it's empty? What if it's not? Let's consider the two most likely outcomes. First, imagine the void is empty. A structural feature, perhaps a weight-relieving cavity designed by ancient engineers to stabilize the pyramid's core. Some believe it could be similar to the smaller, relieving chambers above the king's chamber, built to prevent the ceiling from collapsing under immense stone weight. If this is the case, the discovery remains significant from an engineering standpoint but may not offer any new historical revelations. Now imagine the void isn't empty. Suppose it contains an undiscovered burial chamber, perhaps even the true resting place of Pharaoh Khufu, whose body has never been found. Or a cache of ancient scrolls detailing knowledge lost to time, akin to a hall of records that preserves pre-dynastic history. Some speculate that the void could house ancient devices, unusual materials, or other anomalies that would challenge our current understanding of technology, physics, or even humanity's origins. And what if the void holds something more abstract but equally powerful, a message, encoded in architecture, that speaks to the alignment of Earth and the cosmos, revealing insights into consciousness, mathematics, or human purpose? Are we ready for that kind of discovery? The next chapter is ours to write. As of now, the void remains sealed, a silent puzzle beneath millions of limestone blocks. The world waits, scientists, historians, and ordinary people alike, for the next move. Whether through public excavation, robotic exploration, or virtual mapping, the question is no longer if the void will be studied, but how and when. And perhaps even more importantly, are we prepared for what we might find? Because in the end, the search for answers inside the Great Pyramid is also a search for answers about ourselves. Our curiosity, our courage, and the stories we choose to tell about our place in the universe. So the next chapter of this mystery isn't written in stone, it's waiting to be written by us. The Great Pyramid has stood longer than all the empires that came after it. Kingdoms have risen and fallen. Religions have blossomed and faded. Technologies have evolved from bronze to quantum computing. And yet, through it all, the silent stones of Giza have remained, gazing steadily at the stars and the shifting sands of history. For 4,500 years, this monument has kept its secrets, locked away in passages we thought we understood, until now. In 2017, for the first time in millennia, the pyramid seemed to whisper again. Not in words, but in silent data, cosmic muons revealing something hidden, a massive void, a mystery cavity untouched by human hands since the structure was first sealed. But after the initial announcement, the world grew quiet again. The discovery faded from headlines. No footsteps echoed into the newly discovered space. No cameras ventured inside. The void remains there, sealed, as if time itself conspired to protect its contents. And that silence speaks louder than any declaration. Imagine it, beneath millions of tons of limestone, there is a chamber that no one alive has seen. In a world where satellites map distant galaxies and submarines scan the ocean floor, there remains a pocket of pure unknown. Beneath humanity's most famous monument. What rests inside? Is it simply empty space, a structural necessity crafted by ancient engineers? Or does it hold relics, scrolls, or truths about human history that we have yet to comprehend? Perhaps the real question isn't what's inside the void, but why, in the face of such discovery, we hesitate to look. Is it fear of what we'll find? Fear of rewriting history? Or a quiet understanding that some mysteries are meant to endure? As you watch this video from wherever you are, your living room, your kitchen, late at night under the weight of your own curiosity, remember, the Great Pyramid remains unchanged, its stones weathered but defiant, its secret chamber still sealed. Maybe the answers are there, waiting patiently. Or perhaps, after all this time, the real mystery isn't what's hidden in the stone, but why we haven't yet dared to ask. If you're intrigued by ancient mysteries like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and explore our playlist on forbidden archaeology and lost civilizations. Until next time, keep questioning the past, because sometimes, it's still watching us.